Hi everybody, I'm Maki Watanabe. I'm here with Thiago Aranha, senior producer for Cool or Not. And today we're going to talk about a little bit of behind the scenes of Marvel United.
Yeah, so we were talking about how to do this video, and initially our idea was to do like an unboxing of the whole line. But the fact is, the game is already being delivered to backers all over the world, and people already posting their own unboxing videos online, which are very nice, going through every component, showing every card, discussing every possible strategy. So it doesn't make much sense for us to do the same thing. So what we thought we could do is to basically go a bit over everything, but talk a little bit behind the scenes, talk about the process, how we made things, the things that happened along the way, just have a discussion about the behind the scenes of the game.
Exciting.
Right?
And we all love Marvel. And how did this project came about?
Well, we've been trying to do something with Marvel for years, of course. So we've been chasing them around, looking to do different projects with them. But you can imagine it's not an easy thing to get to that. So it was really only once we partnered with SpiderMaster that we were able to really get things going and find a line through to make this project a reality.
And how was working with SpiderMaster and Disney?
Working with SpiderMaster was a great partnership, really. Like they brought a lot to it. Like they're not just like a connecting bridge to Marvel. They really helped us make this game what it is with their feedback, because they know Marvel a lot. They've done many games with Marvel before, so they know the franchise, they know the characters, they know what Marvel expects when a game is done. So they were really like kind of mentoring us through the whole process of doing this game.
Nice. And now let's take a look at the game. Talk about art and style. Why choosing Mini?
So the art style of Marvel United is what people call chibi, which is this big-headed kind of cute style, which initially I know that some people, when we announced the game, they had some difficulty kind of wrapping their heads around that. But it's an art style that I think it was without a doubt the right choice for this game because of what it is, right? First, when you're doing a Marvel game, you want to stand out because there are many other Marvel games on the market. You want to do something different. You want to do something that has its own identity. So doing something chibi was something that you don't find around. So it made the game stand out just from that. But also it's something that matches what the game that we were doing is supposed to be, which is like it's a fast-paced, light game, family-friendly. It's all about let's just cooperate and get together and fight the villain. And so this simple, friendly art style matches that. Like it's a simple thing for a game that has a simple foundation. But once we got Edouard Guiton, the artist that did the artwork involved, who is an amazing artist, we work with him on the whole Zombicide line basically. So he brought his own style to chibi, which is not that very cute, very childish chibi. It's a bit more serious, so you can take them seriously even with them looking as cute as they do.
And how long did it take to accomplish this project?
Well, this was a long time in the making. It's been a couple years before even the Kickstarter started, trying to find which kind of game we wanted to do, get the basics done with, of course, Eric Lang and Andrea Chiarvesio on design. So we did a lot of iterations of things, ways to tackle this game. And then once that solidified, then it took about a year of full-on production, like pre-production, in terms of generating all the artwork, all the scopes, all the locations, all the things that go into all these things. It was a very hard one-year process focused there.
Did you have any challenges producing this game?
Well, many challenges, but mostly fun challenges. Because it's such a beloved thing, it's nice to personally, I wanted this to be the best thing that it could be, just because of my love of Marvel, and also professional courtesy. I'm a producer. I want to make good games.
And is there something that you're proud of?
Well, I think when we talk about the miniatures, there was a lot of, and talk about the relationship with SpiderMaster again. One thing that they pushed us is in terms of the miniatures to make them as dynamic as possible, as scenic as possible. So it was them that suggested, like, let's see if we can do scenic bases. Not because we always do just plain bases, but for these figures we went with sculpted bases with all the detail. I think I can showcase some of the. I don't know if you can see here. Like, we have on each miniature we went and basically came up with something exciting, something dynamic, something that would look good on the table, that represented that character. So basically, when you're doing Hulk, like Hulk is heavy and strong, so we could do a base that's being smashed and like splinters flying all over. Iron Man with a lot of like the jet from his suit, and it was so it added a lot more work to the process of sculpting, because we had to come up with an idea, make it work, go back to Marvel, get it approved, but it also allowed us to make some very, very fun things. And I think this, when you speak about what I'm most proud of, I think it was the Ant-Man miniature, because this is something that, like, the artwork didn't inform what the bases should be. It was just the characters fighting and jumping around. And basically, when I got this artwork, it was just Ant-Man doing his pose, and I started to think, like, what can I do in terms of a pose? And I thought that with the way his pose, he could be actually climbing something. And then I got to think, we could do like him climbing something that's actually supposed to be very small. And then, like, sketch after sketch, I proposed this idea of him climbing a quarter, which thankfully SpiderMaster and Marvel agreed to. They were excited by it. And then I think it turned out into one of the most interesting miniatures with the quarter. There is something that when I see unboxing videos, people always comment on it. So it's nice to see that something that came from like a challenge and an idea became one of the most appreciated miniatures in the game. And then of course, when it came time to do Wasp, we had to do something similar. So it took us a while. I remember like during lunches, thinking about what kind of thing, was it going to be like a salt shaker? I think it was a diamond ring at one point. And then of course, like, we're a gaming company, this is a game, so let's do a die. So this is one of the most fun parts of this whole process, is coming up with all these fun things to do to these miniatures to make them really pop.
And what was the most exciting thing about producing this game?
I think the most exciting thing is, you're doing a Marvel game. That's exciting in and of itself. So it was a really fun thing to come to work and really get into the spirit of, like, I'm making like a Marvel comic or a movie or something, but it's a game. So you get to play as the heroes and trying to think about how would people want to see this hero represented, both in the artwork that's in the cards and in the miniatures. Like, for example, if you give me the Asgard expansion over there, it's one of those fun, like, days in the office thing, because I distinctly remember when we were doing the Hulk, the Thor miniature, and so we had to find a pose for him, and like we settled on this like kind of strong hammer up. And it was just a fun thing to suddenly find myself in the office, like holding a ruler in my hand and trying to see how I should, how Thor should stand, the weight on the forward leg, and how high should he hold the Mjolnir. So it's those moments where you realize, like, I have a good job,
You had to do some exercise, right?
yeah. No, there were some that like some of the most extreme poses. Like I was having to like build a bit of a base, so something that's like has a higher level, so I can step up and then hold a superhero pose, which I don't have the superhero physique to do it, so it was quite stressful. But just take a picture quick. I'm holding the pose. Try this. So that's the kind of thing that really makes this a wonderful process to work on.
That's great. And all these based on the comics or the movies?
So our license is for the comics, right? It's a game based on the comics, but of course we've all been watching the MCU movies. We are influenced by it. Like I did read the comics from when I was a teenager, so I have that background. But we do realize that the movies are what the general public knows more about Marvel nowadays. So it was influenced by things in the movie. You know, when we have a choice of design between something that's just a classic comic design and something that's also being brought into comics but came from the movies, we tended to shift towards like movie inspired designs and perceptions of what characters should be. So yeah, it's a heavily infused comic universe infused by the movies.
Okay, and how did you choose each expansion?
That was an interesting process of discussion between the designers in terms of what kind of collections of characters and settings could bring more to the game in terms of dynamics and mechanics that we could explore. And of course, talking to the licensor in terms of what can we use, because some things are off limits at different times. So it was always interesting, this push and pull of what can you do, what can't you do, how can you do it, how can you present that. But again, mostly like you start with like, what do you want to see? Like, I want a Guardians expansion. Of course, everybody wants a Guardians expansion. We want Wakanda in the game. So there are things that you need to have there, you want to have there, and you fight for it. Because some of those were a fight. Some of those almost didn't make it. Like we had to, because sometimes we would go to Marvel and say, oh, can we do this character or this lineup? And they would say no. Okay, it's okay. And then a couple months later we go, can't we really do this? Like, we could do this, we could explore it this way or that way. No. Okay, so and eventually some of these things, they eventually say, you know what, yes, you can do it. And then, okay, now rush, let's get the artists doing the artwork, let's get sculpting, let's get this going. It's a arduous, fun process.
And I heard something interesting about SpiderMan during the Kickstarter campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Right, SpiderMan. So SpiderMan, my name is Thiago Aranha, which means spider. So I automatically always had a special love for SpiderMan. So when we got the green light to do him, of course we got the artwork done, and then we got to sculpting. And it's an interesting thing how tough it was to get the Spider-Man sculpt done from Guiton's original artwork, because it's a great piece of artwork that we had a hard time translating that into plastic because of the how he made the pose, and then we wanted to switch that artwork to something where he was doing the thwip, and it became kind of an in-between pose that we were never really all that happy with, but that's what we managed to do. I actually have the very rare resin here of that original Spider-Man figure. I can show it to you. Like it's not a bad figure, but once we reveal it to the backers, there was a lot of disappointment, I think, because it's not bad, but come on, for Spider-Man, can't you do better? Can't you do something a bit more exciting, a bit more characteristic? And this is something where we just, I had to sit down with the director and go, can we, like, is there something we can explore? Can we do a second take here? Can we try again? Because it's Spider-Man, people are asking for something better. I think he deserves something better, and we actually got the authorization to try and do more. So we went back to the amazing sculptors at Big Child, and they came up with something extremely fast and extremely good, which is this final sculpt here, which I think everybody agrees it's miles better than what we had before. And this is one that I remember leaning against a wall at the office and grabbing and going, okay, how can we pose this? Looking at references online, at iconic comic images to eventually land at this new sculpt. And we actually managed to get it, reveal it during the campaign, and show people that we were listening. Like we always want to make our backers happy on Kickstarter. And of course, with 20,000 people, everybody has an opinion, everybody prefers something or would like something this way or that way. And we need to filter that, we need to have our own opinions on things. But when people are right, they're right. And then we try to do what we can to make it right by them. And this is one case where we were able to, luckily.
Okay. And what about these? Are these Kickstarter exclusive?
Yeah, so we have the 4 expansions that were done, the normal expansions, each with a different setting. And then we had, during the Kickstarter, we had a bunch of exclusive things that we made as stretch goals and also as optional buys that you can add to your pledge. And the first one that we had from the get-go was the Infinity Gauntlet. And this is something that, like, the idea behind it was, we knew that the base game is very streamlined, it's very focused, simple, fast-paced, family-friendly. But a lot of our backers are heavier gamers. They would expect something with a bit more meat on the bones. And so from the get-go, we wanted to have this expansion, which is it has more of a campaign feel to it. You don't just play one quick half-an-hour game. You play 4 games in a row, and what you do in one has consequences on the next. So it's more of the heavier experience that our normal fans are used to. So we wanted to show that the game, even though the basics are simple, we could add to it to make it the experience that they wanted, if they wanted something a bit more involved.
Is there a gauntlet in here?
So eventually, it's funny because initially there was no gauntlet, because the gameplay itself doesn't need a gauntlet. You have the cards and you play, and it works fine without it. But when we were thinking about the game and the fact that Thanos collects the Infinity Stones as the game goes on, we started thinking, wouldn't it be cool to have some kind of representation of the gauntlet in the game? And we were thinking, okay, so we do a cardboard thing, we do some tokens, and you put the tokens on the cardboard cutout. And as things went and evolved, we started thinking, you know what, like this, it's going to be a box, it's going to have a tray, it's going to be made of plastic. So couldn't this tray actually be gauntlet shaped? Okay, let's study that, like vacuum form gauntlet and all that. And that idea just kept evolving until we finished with this, which technically is still like a lid of the tray, because it's basically a cover that protects the cards. But it just blew up into this whole metallic thing that is actually the size of my hand. You can basically almost wear it. And it was a very interesting process to get there. And one thing that I see on like unboxing videos is some people, they go and they are surprised by how light it is, because in the end it is just a vacuum form gauntlet, which is the same plastic that we do on the tray to make it, it couldn't be an expensive thing, otherwise it wouldn't make it at all. Because when we added this, we didn't make the game any more expensive. We had already sold this expansion by the time we added it, so it had to be something that didn't break our bank, by adding this. But the funny thing is, in the end, it did kind of put a dent in the profitability of the box, because the more we worked on it, the better we wanted it to be. Like, for example, the first sample we got, and I have it here. This is the first sample,
yeah,
the sample we got.
This definitely.
Which is like, okay, that's fine, but like it doesn't feel that hefty. It doesn't feel as special as it could be. And then the factory shows us, okay, or you could, have it plated, and so it's this very metallic feel to it. And we go, oh, how much does this add to the cost? Oh, this much. I think we can squeeze it in, just to make it look as cool as it could be, within reason, right? And then it's just a fun thing to snap the Infinity Stones on it as you're counting down your progression on the campaign.
Oh, that's nice. That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So we sculpted the stones. Yeah. Initially, the scope was much simpler. We were going to use standard gems that you can find in any factory, but then we go, oh no, they need to be oval shaped. They need to be faceted. So we actually ended up molding our own gems. So it kind of ballooned a little bit more than the initial scope, but with some things you want to make it something as cool as you can, and I think this is an amazing result that we got.
I'm pretty sure our gamers will be happy with this.
Yeah, it's not as fragile as people might think. It's pretty resistant, so just take care of it, but don't worry, it's pretty good.
Still a nice experience. And what about that big box over there?
This big box. Actually, before we get to the big box, I just want to talk a little bit about the Return of the Sinister Six expansion, because this was actually the biggest surprise of the campaign, not only for backers but for us as well, because when the campaign started, this didn't exist.
Okay.
So there was no Sinister Six expansion at the beginning. What we had was some of these villains were henchmen for some other villains. So as soon as the campaign started, people were asking for the Sinister Six, and we saw this overwhelming request. Oh, I hope they do the Sinister Six, and we went, oh, we don't have that, and people are requesting that, but we already have some artworks done and approved. We would only need to do I think 3 or 4 more, which is actually a lot, and sculpt most of them. I think Dr. Octopus was already sculpted because he was going to be just a lone villain. But then again, we looked at it. We talked to Spin Master, to Marvel. Is this something we can do? Are you okay with this? Can we, run and try and get this done while the campaign is live? And thankfully, they said okay. And then we went for it, and that was a very stressful but very fun thing to make a reality in such short a time. So we had the designers working full time on making this work. We had Edouard Guiton doing any artwork that needed to be done. We had the big child sculptors really going all out, sculpting all these amazing things. And before the campaign was done, you were able to present this as an amazing expansion that it's kind of funny to think that this might not have existed, because it's such a core experience. It's such a different kind of gameplay thing where you play against all 6 villains together. It's a very different from anything else in the game. So it's a nice complement to the Infinity Gauntlet expansion as doing something different from the basic gameplay that you get from the normal expansions.
Wow, so it was a very rushed project.
Yeah, it was intense. I would say it was a very intense. It was lots of nights without sleeping. So because I'm here in Singapore and we're working with artists in Europe and we're working with licensing in the US. So the less you sleep, the more you get done in terms of communicating with people and making sure everything gets done and you don't lose a whole cycle just waiting on responses from people. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was well worth it, and the results are amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys were able to make it.
Okay, but now about the big box. So these are all the stretch goals that we unlocked during the campaign, right? So it was a 3-week campaign, and as people know, as the campaign progresses, we unlock new heroes. And again, here as well, not everything that is in this box existed before the campaign started, because there are some things that people requested and we had to make a reality as the campaign was ongoing. For example, if I can show a specific one, Spider-Woman. This is one, we had one particular backer that was obsessed with having Spider-Woman in the game, and she wasn't in it initially, but as the campaign went above and beyond what we expected, and we said, okay, we could use a few more stretch goals to fill everything. I went to you look at what do people want, and if people want Spider-Woman, let's make Spider-Woman. So we got the art done, got the sculpt done. And again, it's funny how these things go, because I think this is one of the most interesting sculpts in the game, the way she's balancing herself on a steel cable. It's a nice pose, it's a nice character. So it's those special efforts that pay off in the end, right?
Wow, there's a lot of miniatures here.
Yeah, lots of heroes, lots of villains.
But I can see 2 empty spaces here.
Right. So those were special promos that we did just for people who got the more advanced pledges, the Infinity Pledge and the Ultimate Pledge. And so for those people, they would get Yondu and Adam Warlock.
Wow.
And again, there was a lot of thought put into the packaging of the whole Kickstarter. So we thought, like, these people, they're going to get this loose boxes, and why not keep a little extra space for them? So once you get your hero, you can just open your box, get your hero out, and he has his own little dedicated space there, and you have your whole collection in one neat box. There is space for the hero cards as well to put on the tray, so everything sits neatly in one package.
Wow, right? That's nice. That's very thoughtful of you guys.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not always possible because sometimes you don't have the space, and it's just impossible to make something like that work. But when we can, if we can, push a little bit and make it happen, we always try to do something that will make the backers happy. So I think this is something people also appreciate. You just get the full package all in one neat big box.
Yeah. And what about plans for the future? X-Men Kickstarter was announced today, right?
Yes. So it's kind of crazy because this is something that as soon as the Marvel United Kickstarter ended, we started thinking about, okay, so what about the future? Like, this was very successful, people really like it, and especially once the core game came out in the market, and it was very well received. People really understood what it was, how fun it is, how fast-paced, how it can be played by all ages. We said, okay, we need to do more, and so right there we started working on the next Kickstarter, which is coming soon. No dates announced as of yet, but soon enough, and that's X-Men.
Wow.
And some of them have been sitting there all along on the corner. Let me bring them in closer. These are some of the core box characters that we can show you. I think they were shown in the teaser. Although Professor X was only seen as a piece of artwork, and so now here you can see him in all his floating glory. And
why is this one in this color? It outstands.
Yeah, so this is Magneto, of course, and I think this is one of the most amazing sculpts we have. I think we really stepped up our game in terms of sculpts and the bases even from what we did in the first Kickstarter. And the fact that it's purple, it does mean something. It's not just a stylistic choice, because we have villains in red and heroes in purple, heroes in blue. So when you think about what purple is between blue and red, I think people are already making very good guesses about what that means in terms of gameplay. I'll leave it at that. I think we'll have more to reveal as time goes by. But yeah, now we're ramping up to this uncanny campaign coming very soon. And of course, it will be fully compatible with the original game, but it will bring its own new mutations to the mechanics.
Wow, interesting, exciting. Okay, so thank you so much, Thiago, for this behind the scenes, and we hope to see you next time.
Hope to see you soon in the Kickstarter. Keep an eye out on our Facebook page. We'll announce everything there, okay?
Bye.
Bye-bye.